Welcome back to another rip-roaring edition of Sleepy with Spects. I'm your host, Sleepy, and that's Bryce.
I'm also sleepy.
Yes, I'm dead tired. But we're back. Angels lost again. What else is new? Aaron Luke blew it. So we're back at it again. Lakers are winning at least, so we got one positive thing out of it. My team drafted a quarterback. Bryce's team drafted a water buffalo. I don't know what the Rams took.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, see, they didn't take a quarterback because Levins went to Detroit.
I'm mostly just focusing on what BYU players get drafted. So Utah's Donald Kincaid, who is like an absolute god of a tight end.
Yeah, like Buffalo needs that Frankenstein Buffalo, and they don't need that Frankenstein. They don't need a Frankenstein monster because that's just going to open up. When they drafted him, I literally sent out a text in my group chat with a buddy of mine who's a giant USC fan, and I said Buffalo doesn't need that Frankenstein monster. He's gonna do well in Buffalo,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
because he's gonna run.
I mean, yeah, and he's gone from Cam Rising, who is a good quarterback and a decent enough passer, to Josh Allen, who's just elite.
It's gonna be NFL. Gross.
It's gonna be crazy to see how
it's gonna be disgusting.
I don't want to do anything too early and say anything too early, but I get this weird Tom Brady
Rob Gronkowski
type thing.
Well, he's gonna make so much separation. He's gonna help out Diggs a lot.
Yeah, even for an NFL, even in the NFL, his size is good. His hands are good. His blocking is good. He's gonna be fun to watch. And this is coming from a guy who's a BYU fan. But Donald Kincaid is gonna do amazing in the NFL.
He should.
Obviously, there's always a chance that he doesn't, but.
Well, he's not going to hurt me, so I don't care what he does.
I mean,
he won't play the Colts.
Wait for a title game where there's the Colts and the Bills.
And Kincaid just demolishes my hopes again.
Where you're like, oh, we're finally so good. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know where he was going to go.
Take him down, and then all of a sudden it's Kincaid catching 200 yards.
It wouldn't, honestly, that wouldn't shock me if Kincaid played the Colts and got 200 yards of every pass was to him and he caught every yard and got 500 yards. It wouldn't shock me. The dude's a Frankenstein monster. He'll do well because the Bills might have they might actually have the best tight end in the East, in the AFC East, and he's the youngest guy because the other Gesicki's good. I don't know who the New England's tight end is. He was the Chargers one, right? I can't think of his name. Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry's in New England, and I have no idea who the Jets one is, but it's they have arguably the top tight end in that division.
Yeah, the other thing that was of concern to me was the Atlanta Falcons made an interesting draft pick in the first round. They took a running back. Yeah. Who's supposed to be a rookie of the year candidate, but running was not their issue last year.
You don't take running back to the first round. I honestly thought they were going to take Jalen Carter.
It was just crazy. I mean, they've got two really good running backs. I know I'm a little biased with Tyler Algier, but Tyler Algier for what round he was drafted in had a really good rookie year. And so they had Cordarrelle Patterson and Tyler Algier just picking up good yards on the ground. And it's so what, you're going to clog your backfield even more?
Well, they can move Cordarrelle Patterson to a slot receiver if they really wanted to.
Sure.
And then kind of run those two. But like I said, I thought they were taking Jalen Carter. I thought I was a beautiful fit, but he went to the Eagles.
I didn't even really get to. I haven't even I'm right now as we're talking. I'm looking up what's been going on in the rounds from today, because
not a lot.
There wasn't a whole lot else that went in the.
No, not really.
In the first round, yeah, it's Bijan Robinson is the guy that the Falcons took. He was supposed to be a beast, but
yeah,
they're calling him the greatest running back prospect since Saquon Barkley.
But it's one of those bits where it's you don't necessarily even take a running back in the first round.
Oh, and then we haven't really had a chance to discuss Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets.
I mean, it's not a shock.
I mean, yeah, we knew it was gonna happen. We called that a long time ago. It was just a matter.
It was just a matter of picks, I guess.
When were things gonna be?
And decided. It wasn't really a whole lot. To me, I didn't think it was really that much. Like, I won a conditional pick, whatever, take it or leave it.
My team did do what you were asking was the Rams. They were focused on shoring up their
defense.
Their O-line. They got a center in the second round.
Oh, they must have had two picks because it looks like at the 14th they took a defensive end. They took Brian Young. Yeah. They took Brian Young, Kobe Turner, defensive tackle out of Wake Forest. With the 26th pick.
No, BYU guys have gotten taken.
Oh wait, that was round 3. I'm sorry. Tomorrow. Yeah, they took an outside guard. Steve Avila, outside guard, with their pick.
Yeah, I think that's the only. Oh yeah, and then Byron Young is an edge. And those are the 2 picks I see.
And the Colts took Anthony Richards with the 4th overall pick.
Are you happy with that? Do you think he's the person who will lead the Colts back to the promised land?
I really wasn't sold on Will Levis, but I had prepared myself mentally that's what they were gonna get. I really wanted CJ Stroud. That's what I really wanted. That was like my pick. And then a couple days leading up to it, it sort of seemed like he was gonna fall to us, and it didn't happen. The Texans trading and getting both picks. I didn't see that one coming.
That one was pretty wild. I mean, look, I honestly, the Texans were bad enough that I think they're finally a team that's going to end up being needed to be reckoned with in the next few years. So obviously, it's not going to pan out right away, but
I don't know, because I think what's interesting is 3 of the 4 teams in the division have new quarterbacks, and they're rookie quarterbacks. So this division's going to be interesting. I guess it's Jacksonville's to lose at this point. It's not, and then everybody else is sort of going to be all jumbled. But in terms of quickest turnaround, I don't even know. I want to say the Colts because they have Jonathan Taylor, but it's like, well, the Titans have Derrick Henry. So,
I mean, quickest turnaround, but probably not from the draft itself, is the Jets.
Yeah.
I think you'll see the Jets contend.
But I mean, I would say
I'd be actually surprised if the Jets don't push far into the playoffs.
But I'm just saying in terms of teams that like are going to be like relatively competitive.
Sure.
We'll see.
And then hopefully right now as we're recording this, the Lakers are up by 17.
I'd watch the game, but Spectrum's been dead since for going on 3.5 hours.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad I've got Hulu TV. Unless Hulu's all their systems go down, then I'm fine.
Yeah, well.
So.
Well, what you gonna do, huh?
What you gonna do? Oh wait. Oh man.
Do you want to talk about the Angels?
Do I want to talk about? I mean, there's not much different to talk about. Bullpen struggles. Shohei almost set history.
Suarez was tipping pitches and the coaches can't catch it, so Tani has to do it for him.
They're at least they're doing okay enough that I think if they catch fire, which is not out of the realm of possibility, it can at least set them up good enough long term. If this is like them not catching fire, like as if this is them on like their average, like when on their slumping days or whatever, then I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Because they're holding 500. It's and then when they can have guys catch enough, hot streaks, when the whole team can start going on a bit of a hot streak, then we can potentially gain some ground on where we need to be, and maybe set some stuff up to at least have our wild card spot get going, sort of thing. So I don't know. I'm not sold on this team being just terrible, but I'm also not sold on this team being good yet. So it's a much more measured start this year than last. So the bullpen's just a lot worse than I was expecting. So
bullpen's worse, and there's spots in the rotation that they're doing questionable things there too, which I don't quite understand.
I just to some extent feel like you needed to start filling, like Neto is starting to do some good things, and so I'm like wondering if they just need to start pulling some of their draft picks from the past few years and just saying, all right, time for your big league chance.
I don't even know if it's necessarily that
in the rotation instead of Suarez.
See, here's what gets me is I'm like DFA Suarez, DFA Loop, DFA Tepera. They're not doing anything, and every writer in the country is like, well, you can't really do that because the Reds, Nationals, or Rays would take him. And I'm like, okay, good.
Let them be worse.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, let them figure it out. If they want to take a chance on him and see if they can fix him, go for it. Cause it clearly isn't working in Anaheim. And I think that if they're using that as an excuse to allow mediocrity every so often in the rotation is, I think, a disservice to the other 5 guys in there, and guys like C-Seth who are doing pretty well and can do what Suarez is doing. So what is there more to it? Like, or do they actually think that like, oh, Suarez is our guy and we think we can get him? Where it's like, up to this point, if they want to make these, he's like, well, he was tipping his pitches, and since we think we got that, we think he'll turn it around, which I don't buy. I think that's just an excuse. And they can point and say, well, he didn't allow a run after they acknowledged it. All right, cool. But what's gonna happen next time? Like, if he gets lit up when he pitches again, I think that's the last straw. Like, that's where it's like, okay, we're sending the bullpen or DFAing him, because you can't keep doing that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the good news is we have time to fix some stuff. The bad news is there's some stuff to fix.
I think the bad news is there's stuff to fix. There's a lot to fix, and the bad news is you don't have a lot of time to fix them. Because at this point, every day you're staring down the barrel of a guy at the gun with Shohei Ohtani, and that decision of what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And like I said, the days turn to weeks.
I'm talking. You still have a month or two to shore some stuff up. So
I guess.
So, but.
Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how things go from here. I mean, we still haven't had Walsh back at first. That's
yeah, and Stassi, I guess, is gonna be starting once he gets good and ready. But who knows when that's gonna be?
Now that Ohapi's injured and out for
and that even I think
probably the season.
Did we talked about that last week briefly? But I sort of found Sam. If I didn't say it, I'll say it now. I thought I found Sam Blum's inquisitiveness a little much. I don't say that a whole lot.
Look, I like Sam Malone, but he's not perfect.
Well, the funny thing is, to me, is someone who's had shoulder problems is you don't, especially with like what he did, you don't initially think, oh, he tore his labrum. You don't think anything of that sort. Your initial thought is, oh, he popped it. He popped the shoulder out, and it's gonna be sore. It's gonna be all these things. Like, I don't expect the training staff to be like, no, we're gonna run an MRI. Well, why are you gonna run an MRI? Like, if they wanted to, because like, oh, we want to just double check. Okay, sure. But I don't blame them if they just thought, hey, you popped your shoulder out, you jammed your shoulder, because all they're going to do is when they put it back in is be like, okay, can you do that? Is there a pain there? No. Okay. You're probably okay. Like, that's not a fault. That's not like the fault of the training staff as much as I think Sam insinuated, either intentionally or unintentionally. I don't think it's the fault of the training staff. I think it's just.
I mean, I over the years haven't felt too great about the Angels training staff. I've always
it's not the same. It's not the same people. If it was the same people, then yeah, I think we can have that question. But it wasn't the guys. It's a different guy. So if it was the same team they had, sure. Because I had questions with how fast these guys were going down. Of what are you doing? This one with the new staff, it's just like what would you ask him? Like, did you? Why? Like, if the question is why didn't you MRI him or check his shoulder before? The response is going to be we had no. It's like it's one of those fits where it's like you go to the doctor for something and there's nothing there initially, and the next day or 2 days or whatever something pops up and it's like, well, why didn't you catch it before? Well, we weren't looking for that before.
Yeah. I mean. Well, you know, Abby and I are watching House. Happens all the time in House.
Yeah. Well, House is different.
No, I know.
House is a lot. House is a lot of the story itself, unraveling the mysteries. The story, not A to B.
It's technically part of the thing, but it is true of like actual doctors. It's like you go in and like you say this is the symptoms I have, and then it's like, okay, that's probably just this, and so they're going with like percentages. But then it's like all of a sudden other symptoms start to present.
Well, yeah, it's the whole thing of,
okay, now we're gonna look for this.
What was that line in Scrubs with Dr. Cox and JD where I forgot what it was. It was something he couldn't figure out, and he threw out like this like obnoxious disease that there's no way it could be. And he's like, when you hear footsteps, newbie, think horse, not zebra.
Oh yeah.
And it's like I
was also just thinking of that episode, that kind of sad episode.
Oh.
Where Dr. Cox kills his patients with rabies because that one patient had died with rabies and he took her organs.
Yeah, he took it. Yeah, and
he's like, and JD says like, it would have been irresponsible. You would have been wasting time these people didn't have by checking for it.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing. It's that logic of
you don't know to look for that. Nobody knows like what's going on there.
Yeah, that's sort of like the thing of like you're over checking sometimes isn't efficient enough, and that's the risk, unfortunately, is that. And it sucks when it's like a young guy who was doing well.
I mean, there is a bit difference in sports medicine where like especially professional teams like where you have to like,
yeah, but it's like I was saying, at the end of the day, it's like if you pop your shoulder, the first thing they're gonna do is sort of be like, all right, put it out, put it up to 90, put it down to 90, because this is how, because going up 90 is how they actually, that's one of the indications that there is a labrum thing, is if you can't get it up, if you can't put it up like basically at a high 5, like that's an indication that there's something more. So if he could do that without really any pain or anything, you're not going to necessarily be looking for it, especially because you already know he's going to wake up sore.
Sure.
The only thing I guess was interesting is they did Taxi Squad Chad Wallach, but I don't know if that's just out of an abundance of caution because we weren't sure of what was going to happen.
Honestly, once Stassi's back, it needs to be Stassi and Wallach. We need to just keep Thice out of the lineup.
Yeah, Thice needs to go to
I mean, it's funny because every time I say that, I feel like the next day he hits like a home run, and you're like, oh. Okay, anyways.
Well, it was like I was listening to I was listening to Angels Win podcast, and they even brought up of they moved him from catcher for a reason, and now they put him back at catcher because they want to keep him.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a very interesting podcast if you get the chance to listen, with Victor Rojas and the two guys from Angels Win, which is a fascinating combination. But it's cool. Like, it's cool to hear Victor again and with his insights.
Is it? I thought he was like a GM over for like the Rangers organization.
It might have been like a short-term thing because doesn't sound really weird.
I did see him starting to talk Angels recently on
Twitter, because the whole thing is you don't necessarily need a minor league GM per se.
Yeah, it's just because that was his whole reason for leaving the booth, was so he could pursue.
He wanted to go. Well, he was a GM for like, I guess he said in the first episode he was a GM for like a independent team. So he did it prior, and then I don't know. It's a weird quandary because it seems like this was another interesting comment, is he made the comment too that he's talked to Perry, he's still in contact with like Gooby, so it's like he's still in with the organization to at least some degree, which is kind of interesting considering he was open to coming back to the broadcast booth, that they said no. So whatever is going on is fascinating.
Yeah, he's definitely not doing his
say the least
thing anymore. But like, it's funny to think like there was a big deal about like getting him like about when he like first went over there, but then like now it's like but it's like he gets fired and it's like, oh hey,
want to go back into broadcasting.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like I can't find any news articles on him leaving the
they might have just, like I said, a minor league team. A minor league team doesn't necessarily need a GM per se. And if it was just something he didn't necessarily want to do long term, he's not going to do it long term.
Maybe he thought he'd be an actual GM by now and he left.
I don't know. Like I said, he got interviewed for the Angels GM spot, but which they didn't even need to do. They could have laughed him out the door, but they gave him the shot. So
let's see. Hold on, I'm just double checking.
But he's back in that capacity.
Yeah, he must have left the.
He might have, because I know he might have just wanted to be closer to his family. Because I think his daughter's in college.
Because Scott Burchett is the general manager of the Frisco Rough Raiders.
Yeah, I know his daughter's in college, and I think his son's in his senior year, so he might have just wanted to like be closer to home for that and not be on the road, which is understandable.
Interesting. Anyways, interesting. So he's no longer doing that whole thing.
Nope.
And he's doing podcasts where he talks about the Angels.
It never works for him.
He's trying to find his way back in. Maybe he's like, hey, those guys over at
I don't think they're I wonder Angels, he might, because I know he was a fan favorite. But I think Wayne does a decent enough job. Everyone hates Matty V for whatever reason. I don't care too much about Matty V.
I like when he calls the games, but it's like he can't always be there because he's more committed to MLB.
Well,
Network
I said this is I sort of made this claim and I stand by it. Is I don't know what contract they have with Matty V or how long it is, but I would say like if it comes to a crossroads, I would tell him like, hey, if you want to stay at the MLB, that's cool, but we'll just let you go because it like you. That's way better for you than having to do like what it is you're doing here. Because it's sort of like he's an A guy, so is Wayne. The only one I feel bad for is Patrick O'Neill because he'll just get jammed in there whenever.
I like Patrick O'Neill though. Like it's funny, a lot of people have complaints about him, and like I get it. I get the complaints. The only complaint that I really understand with regards to Patrick O'Neill is when like Shohei or Trout or whoever will hit like a high flying pop up. he doesn't do it as much now, but at the beginning it would be like, oh, Shohei rides this one, and it's caught in mid center field.
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah, well, they all can't be winners.
What's his name? Almost tried to call a Shohei's history.
Both of them thing. Did. I was listening to it on the radio, and Terry Smith did the same thing.
They were like, "Oh, gonna make history."
Well, what's even funnier is Langston wasn't in. It was Bobby Valentine, and Bobby Valentine's got no I don't know if he doesn't necessarily understand like radio dynamics. I don't know if he's called games last year, but it was clear like he was either really rusty or had no idea how radio works, because he would talk over Terry Smith a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think that was intentional. I think that's just not necessarily understanding radio etiquette. I say etiquette, but I mean like I get it, because Bobby Valentine was a manager, so he can pick up on things really, really quick, probably faster than Terry can, which made things rather like the dynamic interesting. Because when Shohei's implosion happened, he's like, I don't know, I think he might have like twisted an ankle or something with it, like being like, he's out of rhythm.
Here's my complaint.
Oh boy. About
for
what?
For the Angels, for the podcast.
Oh boy.
Artie needs to stop being cheap.
You know, they were chanting sell the team
with our radio broadcast.
Oh, you want them in the other stadiums?
I want them on the road, like pretty much every other team in the major leagues. Stop trying to pretend like saving money is a good idea, Artie. Get them in there. It's not as big of a deal as it was with TV, to be fair, because remember last year when they had Matty V on like every call. Well,
they had him on every call, and because they didn't have
it was because they were doing it remotely.
They were doing it remotely, and the funny part is they didn't have a direct feed, so they're getting on a delay, so all the calls were out of sync.
Yeah. Well, and like my complaint was just like, look, transmit out whatever you need to do, so that way the audio and the video match up, even if it's like we're all technically getting it delayed.
Well, I just said, I'm like, give if you're gonna do it remotely, just give them a direct feed. Don't delay their feed. Like, give them whatever. That's
just ridiculous though that Artie's like, I'm gonna penny pinch and not send our radio team out to every stadium because that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, no, send them out, spend the money, make our products high quality. It's just dumb. Anyways. That's my short rant. But well, we'll see where the Angels go.
Well, shifting gears here. Last time Bryce and I were together, we did a little sort of Q&A interview style of me, and I'm going to return the favor and do it so you get to know good old Brycetheprince Gaming over here a little bit more. We have our first year is what next? Actually, I think it's next week, right? I think it's the 7th.
Yeah, this will be going up on like the
first,
I think. So.
Yeah, so we're entering our 1 year next year. I have a little bit of surprise for good old Brycey Poo, but yeah. So I get to be the inquisitive reporter today.
I think it was around this time last year though that I messaged you. It was like, dude, we should totally do like a podcast or something.
No, I literally no.
It was a YouTube video like sports.
I think
like
you were. I think if I recall the conversation, I think I just asked you out of the blue, like, "Hey, do you want to be a co-host of my podcast?" You're like, "Yeah, sure."
No, what happened was
I thought that was the initial thing.
We were talking a lot more sports, and then I said, like, we were just chatting like through Discord or whatever, or through text.
I want to see if I can find it.
Doing a lot more Angels talk because there was a lot of Angels stuff to be like, wow, look at them, they're doing so good, because this was when they were like doing.
I wonder how. Let's see if I can go. Can I go back? I'm scrolling on my phone because I'm kind of curious.
And I messaged you something to the effect of like, we should do like a podcast or do our video stuff again. It doesn't have to be like what it was or whatever.
I legitimately thought
you were like, I need a podcast co-host.
That might have been it. I could have sworn, or I thought I just asked you out of the blue. Oh my god, this is a lot.
I think at that point we weren't necessarily messaging on Let me see. We haven't messaged on the phone in a while. Let's see. Podcast.
Okay, I found it. Hold on.
I'm pretty sure I'm right. My memory doesn't fail me.
So this is what I found. Okay, haven't made an episode since. So we're talking about the podcast in some capacity, but the first, as far back as I can go with the search, was haven't made an episode since November. He said, well, if you're ever interested in a joint podcast or YouTube about sports, I'd be down. And I said I need a co-host. Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the initial. So I don't know what the initial thing was before. And then you were like, what is the coffee shop conversation? I said he could be my co-host.
And then I said something I think I said something at that point to the effect of it'd be funny to have your
Mormon yeah. So I think
coffee.
So apart from weird beginnings, so what is your background with this? I guess let's start there.
Let's start the podcast.
Let's start with sports, and then we'll kind of swing our way into the gaming.
What do you mean? Like, what's my experience in sports?
Like, why? What's your background in it? Like, what fuels the fires of Brycetheprince in the sports realm? Like, who are you a fan of? Why? Like, why do you enjoy talking about sports? That kind of thing.
Growing up, my first sport that I ever fell in love with was basketball.
He's tall, by the way.
Partially because of the Lakers. That was like when I was a kid, it was their title run. And it's because like when I was a kid, my grandpa was a Lakers fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has been a Lakers fan since like the 60s, or he had been, I should say. And so it was kind of by default that I was a Lakers fan in the 90s. And so like I was a kid for most of that, but when I really could start like focusing in on it, it was like all of a sudden it was like the Lakers are 3-peat champions. It was like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And then like it was funny because the year of the Lakers' third championship, my sister was dating this guy, my oldest sister, and she's dating this guy who's a big Angels fan. And he took me, my sister, and I think one of my other sisters, I can't remember who for sure, but I think he took me, my sister, and one of my other sisters out to an Angels game, and we sat out in right field. My only real memory from that game, or I only have two. I have one memory and one like I just know based on like what I said around the time was I know the Angels won that game. I don't remember who they played against, but this is 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember who would have been right field at that time was
Salmon.
It was
Salmon
tried to throw me a ball up, like I was up in the right field wall. And I think this is like during warmups, and a kid stuck out his glove in front of my open glove. Like he stuck out a closed glove just so I couldn't catch it. And then Salmon threw it to some other kid because he thought I just couldn't catch.
What a loser.
And I was like, oh, come on. Like, I still remember that. And that's like the only memory I have from that game. But like the first like 10, 15 games I ever went to, Angels games, they won every time. I had like a streak going for a long time.
I remember this.
Losing.
I remember this, yeah.
But like there'd be games I'd go to where like you wouldn't think the Angels were gonna win, but then they would still win.
Yeah, you and I went to see their last time they won the West in 2014.
Yeah, I mean
that's a funny story because you were down here for something and you said, "Hey, let's go to the U.S."
I was living in California.
Were you back living in California at that time?
I was between schools.
Was it that like weird time you were back from your mission and you were like here for?
When I got back from my mission at the end of 2013, I went to BYU Idaho from
that's right, yeah,
January through like the end of July.
And then that's right. That's right. And you were transferring to BYU. That's right.
Because I would have not been able to go back to school till January anyways.
Yeah.
Because the way BYU Idaho system works is they assign you like 2 semesters to go to basically so that they can keep like the school population like high, but not overcrowded.
Yeah.
And so I was assigned winter spring, so I wasn't going to go back till January. And I was planning, because I got like straight A's while I was at BYU Idaho, to
just transfer
to BYU, because that's where I really wanted to go, because they had a good media program and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so that was that time when I lived at home for a little while, and so you and I went to that game, and then we knew like the magic number after we won was 1.
And I initially said they're not going to clinch tonight. You said no, they might. Let's just go, and we went.
Well, and so we decided to go. Well, it wasn't even so much. It was like the one day I think I could go to a game.
And you're like, let's just go.
And so I was like, and there's a chance they could, and we didn't think they would. You definitely didn't think so. And
I didn't think they would. I was like, I don't think so.
Aware that they probably wouldn't. But then like we got to sit down and watch the Rangers
the end of the Rangers A game on the screen,
and the Rangers won. We were the whole time as the Rangers were like getting.
They
out,
came
like,
back because
Rangers.
Because the funny part was they were down and they came back. I think in the 9th to win it, and I was like, "There's no
crazy.
way."
And so then all the Angels players came out. I got to high five Mike Trout.
I hugged Mike Trout that night, despite someone saying to the contrary.
I don't even look. All that drama's in the past. You can have high five Mike Trout. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite memories.
But no, yeah. So so I became an Angels fan like the year they won the World Series. But this is before like they won the World Series.
Yeah.
This wasn't like I became a fan because they were the winners. And then trying to think. Other sports, like it's funny because like football, I'm such a big fan now, but it took me a little bit even to be a BYU fan. I remember even going into like the age of 12. I was
BYU
still
games?
kind of like no, not going to games. I'm saying like I remember up till the age of 12, I didn't really watch football like almost at all. And I remember Jacob would talk about it, and I'd just be like. Oh.
Well, I mean, we were in California. See, we were in California though. Like, we didn't. Apart from college,
there was no pro team.
We had a college team, so it was like if you were in Southern California, you rooted for the SoCal team. It was the Chargers, or you had like an outside affiliation, like I did, to like Indy or something.
And so, what ended up getting me into football was BYU, and so that's why you'll see me like I'm a Rams fan now, and it's building up more now, and I still like to root for the Chargers. So it's kind of like I have an NFC and an AFC team.
Easier for the LA teams.
More so than even just like rooting for the Rams or the Chargers. I like watch the BYU guys in the NFL, seeing how they do. And recently there's been some good ones. There's been Zach Wilson.
Gonna make Aaron Rodgers' life a living hell. So hey, kudos.
Barely. So
kudos to him, I guess.
Well, that was the quote beforehand. I'm sure he wouldn't say that now. But,
no.
But yeah, no, that's kind of my background. And then like obviously in high school I played, basketball. I did some soccer growing up, and I just love sports in general. So that's kind of like sports are just kind of like my release of sorts, like my way to decompress from other stuff. So me sitting there, it wouldn't seem that way if you were to watch me, because a lot of time I'm sitting there and going, "Oh, come on, ref," or "Come on, Anthony Davis, what are you doing right now? Get the rebound!" All that stuff. You would think I was getting more tense, but really, it's a really good way for me to decompress.
Yeah. Sometimes
when they lose, it's not quite the story for me to decompress, but as long as it's not horrible, then usually it's a good outlet for me.
Yeah. So we can slide one into the other. I think we kind of touched on it last week with Jake with video games. So in terms of video games, you can transition that into like content creation and then streaming.
Okay, so you want me to talk about my background in video games and then how I ended up getting into content creation?
Yeah, even though I think the answer was me, but
I mean, there's kind of a multitude on that front of the content creation, but let's see. So video games. Grew up playing video games my whole life. Super Nintendo, Game Boy, all that stuff growing up. But it was a pretty casual thing until high school when my parents gave it and got me an Xbox because I wanted to get Halo. And so playing Halo 3 with you and Jake for a long time, and then that transitioned into playing Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops, and eventually Ghosts and different games like that. Over the years have been, again, it's a good outlet for me where it's like, even though I'm like sitting there screaming at me or you or whoever, it's like kind of like a weird release. But
Weird.
For a long time it was more like first person shooters. I mean, like as a kid I did do like casual platforming games, racing games, kind of stuff. And then those are the games that are probably the most memorable to me outside of like maybe Modern Warfare 2. In terms of like when I go back to play old video games, it's like I'm playing either old RPGs or old platformers. Just stuff that has like good nostalgia value. Anyways, so also, like when I came home off my mission, video games kind of became my way of staying connected with like my group of friends from high school. It was, so when I first, like during that time that we talked about where I got home and we were, what's it called? We were, going to Angels games and whatnot. I was also hanging out with like other friends and playing, I played a little bit of League of Legends, a little bit of Here's the Storm. Neither of those games really caught my eye, but one of the games that I was introduced to at the time,
I swear to God,
Terraria.
There, every time.
And so I started putting lots of hours into that game, playing with friends, and then I think one of the things that did though was open my eyes up to other kinds of games outside of like first person shooters, because up to that point it was like first person shooters and sports were like the two types of video games that I played at all. And so I'm trying to think. So content creation, I've kind of told this story on my streams before, but I think the beginnings of me like thinking, oh, content creation might be kind of fun was I don't know how it ended up getting recommended into my YouTube feed. I don't know if it was like something where like I know the same friend who introduced me to Terraria introduced me to the original Super Mario Maker. I never owned a Wii U, so I never got to play it. But
no
like,
one owned a Wii U.
I must have looked up game or level or gameplay on that, and there was this creator that I ended up discovering. His name was Mr. A Game, and he at the time on YouTube he had this long running series called playing levels made by you. Like he had like a whole like intro to it with like music and everything. It was like a whole huge production thing. He ended up getting tired of it down the road because people kept sending him troll levels, and he didn't like that. But like, so for a long time he did that, and like I loved those videos and I loved watching that content, and it was just like it's something where I saw that I was like, I want Mario Maker. And then eventually that transitioned into watching DGR, and I very lightly dabbled at a point early on, and like just before the pandemic, probably like late 2019, where I dabbled in trying to do a little bit of content creation myself. I uploaded a level where I recorded
I remember that
using my Xbox One X. I plugged my Switch into the back of that, and then there's like a whole thing where you can record your screen, and there's a whole thing. And like, so I recorded not me playing it, but I recorded me doing this one level and like me finally completing it, and I uploaded it to this YouTube page that is now my full-fledged YouTube gaming page, although I've been really bad about posting to it.
Shame.
But I need to get better. But I posted that, and it didn't get a ton of traction or anything, but it was mostly I wanted somewhere to post it that wasn't my own account. And I thought, oh well, this could be the beginnings of my, like, you know, I could do more recordings and post more video gameplay. And but I didn't really do much with it after that for a little while. And I think the only other example of that I had was there was a point where there's this thing in Super Mario Maker 2 where it called ninja speedruns.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this whole idea of like you could get like certain items by like performing better than most people, sort of thing. And I was able to get myself to be like get gold medals, and like it was a fun thing. Anyways, and so I streamed that I think twice, but like literally that again was when I was like not promoting anything. I wasn't like there was no mic. It was literally just me, my video game just coming across, and I think I ended up with like 1 or 2 viewers here and there. It was like nothing basically
on Twitch.
On Twitch, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like there's no video
mic.
of it. There's nobody. There's no proof that ever happened. But I do remember doing it and thinking, oh yeah, cool, whatever. But it was like not a big thing because like I think I literally did it for like 20 minutes and then logged out.
Oh god.
And I think I didn't even set it up correctly because I didn't know how to work Twitch at the time.
It's like a Spects
but yeah,
days.
then we fast forward to the pandemic, and you got into YouTube creation.
Yeah.
And I think I'm trying to remember when my first video that I posted, like getting back into YouTube, was. And trying to remember when that was. The Rocket League video. Let's see. October of 2021. So yeah. Which was I posted the Escape from Thwomp in September of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Which was around the time I think you started.
No, my first video was like early 21.
Oh, okay. So September 2020, and so then it was like a whole year basically before I posted any more content. So
yeah, my first video. Hold on. Did it show the exact date?
We discussed this that one week.
January 8th was my first video of 21.
So yeah, so you I slid into the content creation before you did. So
yeah, but I went in with the plan. I went in with the plan. I didn't like. I didn't really.
Like a random crap video.
But also too, yeah, like I think I touched on. I didn't have any way to actually record. Like content.
No. When I went into to jump into actual, like once I was ready to jump in, it was once I had some stuff to actually do it with. Yeah, it's funny to look back at some of these early videos and think. I remember thinking like, "Wow, this is so good," and then now I like look at it like, "Oh my gosh, this is horrible."
It's not. It wasn't good at all.
No,
I know my like early stuff was not good whatsoever, and I don't hide that fact.
No, I know, and I look, I like now like back, I know that I was pretty bad, but anyways, so it had been a year since I had posted that original Mario Maker video, and so you had been posting for a little while, and I thought, that's it. Basically, it was like kind of like that looks like fun, and also I kind of in my head had this thought of like, if I can do anything to be successful, I can at least like also buoy your channel.
Yeah.
I haven't been successful, but if I could eventually be successful, then I could also buoy, Spects.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't necessarily know what success really is or was.
I still don't know how to define success. Like,
whatever you want it to be, I suppose. Like,
but I'm mostly the nice thing is I got more chances to watch you do stuff and realize that the best way for me to go along, like to go long term in this realm, was to say not to try to be successful, but to try to put out good content for the sake of putting out good content.
I agree with that. If you're not having fun, I think didn't I tell you that like multiple times? Like, if you're not having fun, no one's doing it. Well, I think my line was like, if something along the lines of like, if you're not fun, no one else is gonna give a shit or something. Yeah. I don't know. Something to that effect.
And so I started posting some videos, and I was good for actually like probably like I think like a few weeks, and then I came back and I did some Fall Guys videos, and then I was good for like a month, or for like 4 months, or 2 or 3 months maybe, I can't remember. And then I went like silent, and then 10 months ago I posted a video called "I Have Returned," and I played some Rocket League. And then I went silent for another 6 months, and then I was really good.
Yeah, and then what happened?
Solid like 3 months.
And then what happened?
And then I got lazy. Well, and then I got into Twitch. So what happened was you and I were talking on the podcast, and you had
what?
started you'd done Twitch for like long stretches and then stopped, and then long stretches and stuff. This, at the beginning of this year, you started like a longer stretch. And around that time, we were getting ready for Hogwarts Legacy to come out, and I thought, I'm so excited about this game, and it was great. And so I thought, I'm going to stream it. This will be my chance to try to do anything with streaming. I'll post some YouTube videos for it, which I have, and I still like the Hogwarts content I made. By the way, your camera focus went off.
Refocus.
I've had that issue before.
Yeah.
In the dark. So but yeah, ultimately, I posted some of that Hogwarts content, and I started streaming it. I think like initially part of my problem with initial content creation was I was so intent on doing Hogwarts Legacy content, which was like, there's a couple problems with that. It was I was drowning in a sea of content creators that were much larger than, like, for me to start a channel based around a very popular game.
Yeah, welcome to me with the show.
Streaming. it was like nobody was gonna see me.
Again, welcome to me streaming the show. Like,
there was like 10 channels with over 1,000 viewers. So like, where am I gonna show up with my one viewer? Who
at the bottom.
So for me to find, like, and I found a couple people here and there, but nobody really followed me from that, and so I decided to switch it up at some point. And part of it, I think, was I think one day I just started doing Valheim, and some people started watching me for that, and then you and I started playing Terraria together, and some people started watching me for that, and that, it was kind of cool to like slowly build progress. And so you were like, dude, you gotta like play Mario Maker. Like you had fun doing that on your YouTube channel for a little bit there.
I really did push the Mario Maker thing a lot.
And when I finally found my copy of Mario Maker, I was like, yeah, no, this is like, it's a game I have experience with. It's a community that I know. I already have some people that I could like kind of be like, hey, I'm doing stuff. And so I started doing Mario Maker stuff, posting those streams to DGR's self-promotion page, which has probably been like one of the single reasons that I was able to get to affiliate so fast, is because so many people were seeing that and then coming into my stream and then watching, and then that builds up. Like the thing about getting more viewers is a lot of it just happens that you have to have some viewers to begin with, because then people see you higher on the channel, like on the game suggestion page.
I guess I think also too is I'm trying to like piece it together. I think when something like Mario Maker has that like the show doesn't have, is you have that like interaction already, so you can go into like DGR subreddit, put that you're doing viewer levels, and people are gonna will jump in because they just want to play. They want to see their levels played.
Yeah,
they don't necessarily care.
For sure. Like, well, and it's an easy like way to generate views when you're saying like, hey, I'm doing viewer levels, come show off your levels, because like a lot of most of the time when I've tried to like look for streamers to raid, there's a lot of I'm doing no super expert, no skip, blah 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 blah, and it's like great content, but like it doesn't necessarily, unless you're already an established Mario Maker streamer, doesn't necessarily pull people in, because they're kind of like well, I'm just if there is somebody who's playing Mario Maker, then, or viewer levels on Mario Maker, then that kind of invites more people in. So, which has allowed me to build up that. So that's kind of where I started, where I am with video games and content creation now. I've gotten distracted from YouTube, but I'm gonna try to give the YouTube some love. What I need to do is just start batch recording and then uploading some levels.
Yeah, don't do what I do and record like the night of or the night prior. But what if there was, because I mean you're still growing, is there anything you're kind of like dang, if I can hit this in, this is gonna go up May 1st, if there's something I can hit by like the end of summer, middle of summer, like what if there is a goal, like what is it? Because you're exploding faster than I did.
I wouldn't say I necessarily have any.
Do you want to hit the century mark?
I think that's the one like number I'm keeping my tab on, is like I have 87 followers now. And most, like tonight was like an anomaly.
We were laughing.
I got no followers.
We were laughing about that.
I was totally fine with that. Like that's the funny thing, is like now I'm sitting here, I was still averaging 5 viewers or so, which is still great. Like,
I mean, I'd argue that's the more important number. Like, who gives a crap if followers happen?
But like,
or people watching.
But it is like interesting to say like, okay, well, I'm at 87. It'd be nice just to hit 100, because I think, and maybe I'm overanalyzing it a bit, but I think more people would look at my streams or look at my channel and say, oh, he has 100 followers. Like, okay, that means he's established a little bit, meaning like if somebody's looking for a raid, they're not going to be as like hesitant to be like, well, this guy might just be a weirdo with a bunch of weirdo followers.
That's true.
I don't know. That's the only like number I think that I'm like kind of looking for, but even then I'm not like, there was only 1 week where I played the Twitch game, where I played the game that Twitch wants me to play, and it was, I streamed nothing but Mario Maker that week.
That's right. I remember that.
I wanted to hit the average viewers.
You wanted the average viewers, and you wanted affiliate.
That was where I was.
I remember that.
My viewer count the fastest was through Mario Maker.
Yep.
So I did Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
Mario Maker,
and then I hit my affiliate numbers and was able to apply. And it was, well, not apply, but like I was able to get it set up, and it was great. And now finally all my emotes are.
Yeah, I know. It only took 2 weeks.
So
no, I mean, there you go. You did it. You climbed the mountain.
But and then like I think the other thing that would be nice, but I'm also not like sitting here. And maybe it's because I'm not trying to really make a career out of Twitch, but I think the other thing that'd be nice is like I've got 2 real subscribers, and then you gifted me one. I think it'd be nice to have like some of the followers that I have had subscribe.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I'm well, but that's also the thing, is I'm not gonna sit here and be like, guys, come on, subscribe.
Yeah, I don't
like,
even.
I'm not that one. I don't remember what the streamer, what her name was, but you remember like
There's
the
a
one,
bunch of them that do that. Where
there's like this particular streamer. She like blew up because like one day she was doing a just chatting stream and she's like, if you can't even spend $5 a month on my to get my content, blah 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 blah, and it was like,
see, the weird thing
everybody yelled at her basically to be like, look, not everybody can, like, because she basically chastised people for saying, some people said, I can't afford it, and it's like, I've been there. I get it. Subscribe to some people now. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Back then. So like,
no, that's why, like, I think like the ones who like have bigger platforms, whoever they are, always sort of are like, will always be like, hey, the only thing, like, unless you really hate ads, like, you can do, you can sub, or there's like Twitch Turbo, just a flat $10 and you get no commercials anywhere, but you don't get the emotes. I mean, you can take or leave, I guess.
But. Yeah, for sure. But I haven't gotten to my first. I haven't gotten my first $50 yet. And
so. Dude, when I started, it was 100.
Oh yeah,
I was back in the dark ages for 100.
$50 payout, so I could be like, "Oh, I'm finally a pro gamer because I made money playing games."
That's what I said. I go, well, I get paid, so
you're a pro, right?
I can check that box. All right, you asked me this as we ended my perception. I'm sorry this wasn't as in depth as, I guess, in depth going back.
I think part of it was you asked me some open-ended questions and I gave you some very open-ended answers that were a little bit longer. So
probably you gave me a lot of closed-ended stuff. You asked me this night, like, this is fun. I think this will be fun as like the newbie. If someone watching this all the way to the end, I don't know why you are, it's like, I think I'm going to stream. What would you tell that poor bastard?
Do it.
Okay.
And maybe it's because I'm a little bit greener than you are that I would say that, because your answer I remember was more like, don't.
I said don't because I'm like,
I think what you said was don't, but if you're going to, here's the advice, sort of thing.
I'll never tell anyone openly not to.
I was reading post on Reddit recently that was just like suggested through my email. Kind of funny. But like somebody was like, they were like, I almost don't like playing video games now because like they associate it with streaming, and they associate streaming almost as like working sort of thing.
To a degree.
And like the odds of you or I or any of us making it like into like a full-time career with Twitch streaming or any of that kind of sort of thing, it's a very small like fraction of people who can do that.
Well, I guess my response would be, well, what do you consider working?
Well, I mean, like it's a matter of like, can you support yourself with this?
No, but I would say like that'd be my response to that person would be, well, what do you consider working? If you're considering, that's what my response would be.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, but like, I think what they were saying is like having to put so much effort into like doing this thing was.
It's not as much effort as you think it is,
but like it's definitely not hard to me or you. Like, but like, but so anyway, but I think like sometimes I get it. Like there have been times I've not streamed because I'm like, the effort to actually stream tonight would be.
Yeah, you and I talked about that at least a little bit.
There have been nights where I've just gone like I'm not gonna stream. Like there was a night like a couple weekends ago where I was gonna stream with a buddy of mine, and then I had work early the next day. And
you downloaded the wrong game.
Turned out I downloaded the wrong game, and it was just like a whole mess. And like even once I did even once he had the game I had downloaded, it turns out I didn't have the the right content downloaded for us to do
Bravo.
stuff together. And it just got to a point where I was like, oh, well, okay, you should just stream Valheim or whatever, and we'll just do this another week. And I was like, I'm just not gonna stream it all because I don't feel like there's no even if it was earlier in the day, I still think I was like, I just didn't feel like going for it much. But I think so I think like ultimately I think part of the issue that person had was like, you just got to play games that you find fun and just have fun doing it. Like, don't play a game because you think it's going to make good like, don't play a game just for the content is what I'm trying to say. Like, don't play a game just because you're like, oh, this game's popular. Even though I hate it, I'm going to do it because it's going to get me 20 views a stream. I mean, obviously 20 views a stream would be like an enticing
you
number
say
for me.
that, but you're like, oh God, I'll do that.
Yeah, no, if I had a game where it was like a guarantee that I'd get 20 views a stream, yeah, no, I'd do it. Like if I had a game that it was guaranteed that I could get my numbers boosted to be partner, yeah, no, 75. I'd do it. But like, yeah, but like, no, I mean, it's I think Twitch can be fun if you do it the right way. I think you did say something to me a few weeks ago about like Twitch is really fun when you have momentum. And I think there's definitely a lot of truth to that.
That is the truth.
It's less fun when there's only like when it's just you and like nobody's chatting, and maybe you have like there have been some Valheim streams that I've gotten kind of bored with.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
I've had to what I've had to do with Valheim in particular is like just be like, no, I'm just gonna play the game. Like I'm just gonna enjoy my time playing the game and stop trying to like wait for people to come in or do stuff. Like usually Desk will show up at the times that I've been streaming Valheim anyways. And so shout out to Desk if he happened to somehow catch this. But probably one of the greatest chatters ever.
He's a good person.
But ultimately, so I stopped trying to like be like, oh, I'm gonna wait for people to come in and do this and this and that, because it's like, even though there's like 3 or 4 people watching me at a time, and like I've had most of the streams have started to average about 3 or 4 viewers, which is good. But it's like, it's sometimes hard when there's nobody chatting to be like, what do I say? Like, you know, so you're sitting there just basically narrating what you're doing. You're like, all right, well, I'm going to collect some more silver. I'm going to do this.
Yeah, go watch Angels 162 and you'll see the definition of like just trying to fill air.
Yeah. So, well, and that's like what I did to start with. And so it's like, that's fine. Like Valheim, I like doing those kinds of streams. I can do those on Saturdays and sometimes on Wednesdays, or most times on Wednesdays. And like, it creates enough content for me to like keep going. But if that was my every stream, I'd burn out pretty easily. So I think, yeah, definitely find a way where you can find a community where you can like chat with people. Because like the more people you have like talking, like I think that's the fun in Twitch, is like connecting with other people.
Yeah.
So.
All right. With all that being said, I guess next week we'll have to do something a little bit special, since it'll be the 1 year of doing this thing with him. So I guess we'll figure something out special to do. I don't know. Maybe we'll do it live or some shit. Who knows?
Maybe we'll react to our old Sports Grid.
Oh God! Oh no! I guess we could. That'd be horrifying.
No, I don't know. Like talk about like, oh, this is where we came from.
God.
Like maybe not react the whole time, but like react part of the time, and then be like, so that's where we came from, and here was our first podcast together. And you know, now we're doing this, and we're so much more natural together now after the test year or whatever.
Oh, sweet mother of God, it's still there. I love how
I haven't deleted it.
I love the fact that there's like sports videos and then a 9/11 tribute.
That's because I knew we had a channel that had like at least
I forgot I forgot about the Angels 2002 final out.
Where you found funny. What's funny is I'm pretty sure I just
you ripped someone's video and it's like a crappy cell phone video, and all you did was put the Terry
radio call.
You put the Rory Marcus call over it. This crappy cell phone video from 2002, and it got 16K views.
2,000 views.
It's horrifying.
The Derek Fisher .4 shot. 19,000 views.
This was like peak. We have nothing. Wait, I'm trying to think. There was that. I made a Brett Favre highlight video. You have a yellow card for you and your denial when they first came back.
The first couple videos that I posted
I love the fact
was hacking your iTouch.
Yeah, my favorite one is all the videos that have like a lot of views for winning goal USA versus Algeria FIFA, Derek Fisher's .4 shot, Lakers Celtic highlights. I think that you or I made the Kaiser permanency. Oh my god, this thing was This thing was all over the goddamn place. I like how there's a prank video from like a camp you went to.
I do remember that. And what's funny is that has 500 views. Like, I'm like looking at this and I'm like, holy cow, this was actually a not horribly unsuccessful channel.
Like, oh my god. Like, I don't know who edited this. There's a video where it's Lakers Celtics highlights. I don't know who edited this, but someone
who probably edited it.
Huh? Me?
You know who probably edited it? No.
Either you, what? Jake?
No.
Who?
Some random YouTuber I stole it from.
Because someone
then layered our own music on top of it.
Oh, because like someone put what I've done. Yeah, this is definitely you because there's a smiley face. That was
me because I thought I was so cool back in the day.
Did you do that for the other one too?
For which one? The Kobe Bryant highlight reel?
I don't know, because there's another one where it's like more Laker Celtics, and this one has New Divide on it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's exactly what I did.
What was that? There's like a weird audio dip. Oh my god, this is, and it's in like crappy, like not HD quality too, which is hilarious.
Well, because this is back when it wasn't in
HD.
You couldn't upload in HD.
Is there anything? I thought there was like a Bynum dunk on here. Oh, there it is. This only got 70 views that you recorded on your crappy flip phone.
No, I think I recorded this on my iTouch.
Oh.
I just remember being like, "Oh yeah," and it was just like, I lost my ear.
Yeah, that's that.
I mean, look. There was a. I mean, we'll talk about this more next week. But there was like a stretch that I did pretty well with our channel, and because like the beginning stretch wasn't bad.
We were both a lot hairless.
The first couple video. But the stretch that I did really well with was when I started posting stuff that it was like
as it happened
right after it happened. So like I'd get like the ESPN update on my iPhone or whatever.
Bam.
It'd be like, or not on my iPhone, but on my iTouch, and then I'd like go to my computer and like record on this crappy webcam, like, hey, the Lakers have signed Steve Blake and whoever else, and it's just like
just this introduction where it's like so incredibly like over the top, like we're so official, or it's like this is Brycetheprince Gaming reporting for Sports Square TV.
Yeah, no, I was trying to be like a reporter because that was my thing, was I was gonna be a sports reporter.
That's true.
But yeah, because that was from that stretch where Phil Jackson came back to sign with the Lakers for the 2010-2011 season. That was his last year as the Lakers head coach. That one got 215 views. The next Lakers free agent news got 1.4K views, which I remember being like, wow, this is amazing. I'm making it on YouTube. It got some comments and everything. It was like great. And then Boston Wade to Miami, 181. LeBron James to the Heat, 205. Another Lakers free agent update, 206. More Lakers free agent stuff, 459. Like, it was like,
that was, you 1.4. Jeez.
So it's like, there was some stuff in there where it was like,
a lot of that too was when you're getting it like, you know, right quick and you can just react to it like on the rip.
Yeah, no, I mean, like,
man, we were making short content too. There's a couple of like 1 minute videos.
Well, I mean, literally, it was just, hey, this guy's coming to the Lakers. Okay, bye, guys. You know, reading some of the like general like.
As I had to read it, as I'm like reading stuff off of, like, I'm watching the old baseball one, as I was like reading off of like trade rumors.
Yeah, no, yeah. So,
as I sound completely robotic.
The last video I did, that was me actually doing anything for that channel. Like, that wasn't like pre-taped, or like wasn't just highlights or the September 11th tribute, which all, by the way, is like horrible editing. It's I basically learned how to like rotate stuff and do like keyframes and stuff in like, in high school.
Yeah,
and so you see like stuff is like spinning.
Yeah, horribly.
Yeah, it's terrible. But the last thing I did was Cam Newton was determined to be eligible for the whatever bowl game.
Looking back at like
that year,
and this would have been.
I remember that was like such a big deal, and so I was like, I posted, I was like, well, this isn't fair because like I'm not a USC fan, but like, look at what happened to USC. So like, which like, look, I was spot on. The NCAA is horrible.
Yeah.
Like,
man, we would have been
only learned that more so since then.
I'd like to say we'd be killing it with shorts, man. If shorts were back the thing back in the day, we would have been killing it.
Oh yeah,
1,000%. God, I got 520.
All that content was still just growing. So
man, what were we do? Man, how did the dumb 13-year-old us were doing better than we are now?
Because
17-year-old us. Yeah, is that the issue?
I think part of it was we were like, if you and I think were to commit to like sports content, like I'm not talking sports video games, I'm talking sports like actual content. That's not just like us posting a podcast. I think it would do.
Let's bring it back.
I tried in like college. I kept telling you like we're gonna do it differently or whatever. But
I wonder if we did it now. Like,
I mean, it'd be a lot more well produced, and
it'd be
probably be
better.
A lot more natural.
Yeah, it'd be better produced and more natural. And I guess since I'm writing, it would be a little. I could like actually articulate an actual cognitive argument instead of just being like Mike Trout good.
Yeah, Angel's got Dan Hare, and he's been pretty good recently.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Traded three lefties for him. Traded
if you ever want to
traded Patrick Corbin, Tyler Skaggs, Joe Saunders.
We can do some more like short form type content and upload it there. So.
All right. Well, let's put a bow on this one.
That'd be an off podcast description. So
that'd be hilarious. You want to see our actual pod? Subscribe.
Anyway,
get it on the Patreon. Subscribe to my Twitter blue.
There's still a market for sports type content. The only thing is I don't like. I wouldn't want to bother as much with what a lot of those guys bother with in terms of trying to get the highlights.
Oh, I wouldn't either.
So,
it's not. I don't have the patience.
Delivering news, I think, could still be a thing. we just do shorts. Like
that's why
channel is just all shorts where we're like, the Lakers signed blah 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 blah, and then just post it.
I would just stick with baseball at this juncture.
No, I know. That's the thing. You could do baseball, maybe I could do basketball, and then we could split football or something. But
yeah. All right. Well, that was fun. We'll be back next week for the 1 year chicanery. So until then, have yourselves a good one. Catch Bryce on his stream. You might catch me on the YouTubes and all that. We'll see you guys all next week for another Rip Roaring edition of Coffee with Spects.
See you guys.